All right, everybody, how y'all doing today? So in this video for our introduction to poetry class, I'm going to quickly walk you through the syllabus and show you a few things on Blackboard. So here is our homepage. I'm hoping you're all uh, well aware, can navigate Blackboard and do all that stuff. That's important for this class. This is a quick class. It's 7 weeks, so there's a lot of work in a short amount of time. So here's the syllabus. You open this up here. All right. Let me make this screen a little bigger. So this is English 1220 600 Introduction to Poetry. And what I always do for my literature classes, my poetry classes, I always thematize them. And this way it gives us a lens to look through everything we're reading. I'm calling this class Hunger Artists. And I'll get to that in a moment. It's distance learning. There's my name, Charles Kell. When you email me, you can just call me Charles, or if we meet in person, just call me Charles. You don't have to call me doctor, professor, or anything. There's my email address if you need anything, my office if you ever want to meet on campus. I have office hours. If you ever want to meet by Zoom or on campus, just let me know. So here is CCRI's description of the course. The purpose of this course is to deepen the students' engagement with the metaphorical nature of language through understanding and enjoyment of poetry. The selection of poems focuses on what poetry means and does, what needs and desires poetry fulfills in its writers and readers, and the cultural context and conditioning that define poetry and place value on its existence. So that's the course, or that's the CCRI description of what the course is. This class is distance learning, remote asynchronous, which means we will not be meeting. I'll be posting videos that walk through the class, the lessons, assignments, poems, everything. I'll have videos made about everything. It is your responsibility to watch the videos and take notes. You got to watch the videos. Even though we are not meeting, the course syllabus will structure the class based on Mondays and Wednesdays. This will help guide you where you should be and when you should be completing the readings and assignments, etc. Everything is located on our Blackboard site, and I'll show you that as soon as I'm done with this syllabus. It's your job to keep up with the readings, the work, and basically what's going on. I'm not going to email you reminders about things often. You need to be proficient and comfortable navigating Blackboard. If at any time during the semester you feel lost or if you want to work on and cover additional topics, it's your job to let me know. The entire class and the readings will be available on weekly sessions under our Blackboard page right there, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. Here's where I got the theme from our class. Late in Franz Kafka's short story, A Hunger Artist, the supervisor asks the hunger artist why he continues to hunger, and he replies, "Because," said the hunger artist, raising his haggard head a little and whispering with puckered lips as though preparing for a kiss directly into the supervisor's ear, so that he would not miss a word. "Because I could not find a dish I liked. Had I found it, believe me, I would not have made a fuss, but would have eaten my fill, the same as you or anyone else." Those were his last words, but the broken look in his eyes bespoke the firm, albeit chastened conviction that he was still hungering. And I want to pose these questions. What does it mean to hunger, to be hungry? And I don't mean, I haven't eaten for a while and I'm hungry for some nachos or whatever. What does it mean to hunger in life? In what ways do we hunger? How are poets hungry or hungering? How are the poets on our syllabus hungry? What are they looking for? What are we hungering for when we make the difficult decision to read poems or to read and or write anything at all? This class is an elective. You don't have to take this class. Like, what do you want from this class? Why poetry? What does poetry do? And here's what I always define reading as too. I look at reading this way. Reading is an always ongoing process where we encounter others, the world, and ourselves. Reading literature and poetry is to encounter alterity or otherness, which means difference. Through different literature, we engage, encounter, and brush up against various alterities, which could enable us to see how others live and in some way give us a sense of how we live. And we got like a $30 philosophy word there, alterity. And what that means, that difference, that just means difference in all its manifestations. Religious, age, sexual orientation, gender, economics, education, ability, so think of difference in all its ways. And we're going to read poems that are quite different, and it's important to be hospitable, open to that difference. I want you to think of these questions too. What does poetry do? What is poetry? What do you want from poetry? What's your hunger? In this course, we will examine these questions as well as concentrate on reading a diverse body of poems. My area is mostly contemporary literature and poetry, so we'll be reading a lot of contemporary things and some older stuff toward the end. It is important, I will argue, necessary to embrace ambiguity, difficulty, the fact that poems, poetry, and great literature have no easy answers. Most of our poems are going to resist closure, right? And here is CCRI's learning outcomes from the course and what we'll have accomplished when we're done. 1, display a working knowledge of poetry as literary genre, identify and describe distinct characteristics of poetic forms, analyze poetic works for their structure and meaning using correct terminology, write analytically about poetry using MLA guidelines, and effectively communicate ideas. Again, I will provide all the readings through Blackboard. Here are some basic policies. One note, don't use the robot, don't use the computer, don't use AI to write your paper. All right, I've been teaching for 16 years. I know these poems inside and out. Please, if you're struggling, contact me. Don't use the robot, don't use AI to write your paper. All right, if you do, I'll give you a 0, and that's that. So, because this class is distance learning and we won't be meeting in person, let's be mindful of each other's time, right? Don't email me at 11 o'clock at night. I need something right now, right? Go through Blackboard and look at the assignments, look at the syllabus, look at our readings before emailing me with questions about that stuff. However, if you have content questions, like if you're struggling with something, the paper, any of the discussion boards, please email me and we can meet. But read everything on Blackboard before you're emailing me with like when's a paper due, etc. All right. The rest of this stuff, our papers, we have 3 papers. Those will be in MLA format. The discussion boards won't be though. We're not going to be working in groups. This is mainly for if we're in person. All this stuff. So you can ignore the attendance policy and all that stuff. All right. So here's what you're concerned with, the grading. Here's the class. Whenever I teach a class, I base it off 1,000 points. It's easy to figure out your grade. If you end up with 940 points, you have a 94%, right? So it's easy. And one thing I loathe, I hate busy work. I hate busy work in college. So we really don't have, it's a quick turnaround. We have some work, but I don't give you a lot of busy work. We have 5 discussion boards. I'm going to post a separate video that walks through those in a moment. We have 5 discussion boards worth 100 points each. That's half the class. That's 500 points. You have to do the discussion boards, right? If you miss those, you're not going to pass the class. And then we have 3 papers, 3 short papers. That's it. Paper 1, 2 to 3 pages. Paper 2, 3 to 4 pages, a little longer. Paper 2 is going to be a little longer. And paper 3, you'll have the option of doing a creative assignment if you want, or writing an analytical paper. And I'll have videos that walk through those as well. But that's it. That's our class. 3 papers, 5 discussion boards. The grades will be available on your papers with comments. I want you all to do well, right? I mean, I'm not trying to trick you. If you do all the work and follow the guidelines, you should get an A. You can revise your papers if you want, all right? You must complete each paper as well in order to pass the class. All right, if you need academic accommodations, contact the DSS. So the structure of our class, we'll be reading a lot of different poems under the guise of hunger artists. We have, we'll start out looking at some family poems. We'll do some social poems, some war poems, identity poems. We'll look at ekphrastic poetry, which is poetry about art. We'll look at confessional poetry. So, yeah, we'll just look at a lot of different poems by different people, diverse people. So, and here's our course. Week 1, introduction. We're going to read some Henri Cole poems. We're going to read a couple essays. Harold Bloom, The Art of Reading Poetry. And what we're going to do, we're reading these Harold Bloom, this T.S. Eliot essay. We got a couple of older white guys here talking about poetry. And then later in the course, we're going to read an essay by a younger African American woman. And we're going to juxtapose these things, right? So we're going to read a lot of poems by different people. But this is basically how the course follows. Whatever the poems are on here, you just follow along. And it's week 1 through 7. So, and that's that. That's the schedule, right? That's our syllabus. Please close read it, know it, live it, love it. But here, the syllabus here, if you look at this, corresponds to our weekly sessions. So if you go back to our Blackboard course, there's my hello video. And if you go to weekly sessions, here's week 1. And here are the poems. So see, there's Oil and Steel, right? There's the poem. There's some notes on how to read poetry, a few notes on reading poetry. I'll go over that. Here's a video I made years ago where I close read Oil and Steel. Here's a video where I close read Bloom's The Art of Reading Poetry, which is a difficult essay. So watch these videos and follow along. So this is Wednesday, January 22nd, our first day of class. Here's Henri Cole's Chiffon Morning, T.S. Eliot. And if you notice, our syllabus corresponds to this. So you go to, that's week 1. Here's week 2. C.D. Wright, Lynn Emanuel. Here's a paper 1 handout that I walk through. A quick note, some of the dates in the paper handouts don't correspond to our class. Follow the assignment sheet, right? Because I'm just not, and some of the dates I talk about or some of the things in the poem, because I'm just not making these videos over and over and over. It says the same thing. But here are the poems and the essays, Monday, January 27th. Here are some more videos where I'm reading some more things again. There's the Hart Crane poem. There's me reading Hart Crane. That's week 2. And here's week 3. Some more poems, some more notes. And so you get the gist of it, right? Here's all the videos about poems and whatnot. So everything is under weekly sessions. Here are the assignments where there's paper 1. There's my video on paper 1. Paper 2, my video on paper 2. Paper 3, my video on paper 3. And, it walks through the assignment. But in the video, it's going to be a little different than the assignment. But look at the assignment sheet. See, here's the assignment sheet. You can pull this up. First paper is due February 3rd. Follow this in detail. It walks you through everything, right? There's the questions. You answer 1. Please close read the assignment sheet. So there's that. Yeah, there's the email if you want to email me. So you can go to, I have other uploaded links here, poetry terms and devices, all this stuff about poetry here, poetry terms and devices, poetry essays and notes. So you have all these things about poetry here, right? There's Joy Priest, we're going to read her, Audre Lorde, Audrey and Rich, Linda Gray, there's a lot of stuff on here, poetry. Here's me reading some Shakespeare sonnets. If you want some Shakespeare sonnets on here, all right. But get on Blackboard, go on here and play around. Our class is pretty much set up. I'm going to be making some more videos for the end here. But if you have any questions at all about anything, the syllabus, the assignments, the poems, the videos, please contact me and we will meet. All right, everybody, good luck.